Hey, so can you tell me what is your name and what do you do?
Of course, my name is Henri. I work at the Starknet Foundation, where I'm the head of ecosystem.
Amazing, head of ecosystem. So I've been like a developer and like for the past 8 years and like the last 4 years in crypto and like going around, learning more about like recently about like on-chain gaming, and so can you tell me like wait, how long have you been at in this role?
Yeah, sure. So I started working on Starknet about 4 years ago. I first worked for 2 years at Starkware, which is the lab company that develops um, that most of the software of Starknet. Was doing developer relations there. Then I moved to the foundation after 2 years, where I was involved in still developer relations and now ecosystem for more than a year now. Um, so what my team does is essentially um, incubation of startups on Starknet. Right, we help people build meaningful businesses on chain.
Okay, awesome. So um, I'm I'm like a big fan of like hackathons. I've been doing a ton of like East Global hackathons, and also um, and have done like hacker houses and kind of things like that. Like I know it's like really great to be around surrounded by other like-minded people and developers and learning from them. Um, so like maybe like in the past like year, like what has been happening with like Starknet, like this kind of ecosystem, like what it relating to like your role and like startups. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I think over the past year, a lot of what we've been doing is shifting a little bit the culture and the goals of the ecosystem to move from, hey, let's do hackathons and let's try to hack things together and let's see what happens, to let's actually try to build something that other people will use. And before adding more features, let's try to see if people will use those first features, right? So we're pushing a lot of people towards having, I was going to say more rational behavior, but if we're realistic, being in a startup is not rational anyway. In Web 2 or Web 3, it's just a very risky endeavor, right? Where we're trying people to push people towards validating more their product, so confronting it with the real world a lot more. And a lot of the initiatives and the programs that we're running are geared towards that. So instead of doing stuff that are exclusively oriented towards dev, we're doing a lot of stuff that are oriented to our founders or devs that want to become founders, right? So we're pushing people to ship products.
So how do you do that? Like what does that look like in terms of like what your programming, your events, your messaging, your content?
Yeah. So there's like part of it is in the messaging, part of it is in how you do, in how you approach building products, right? So it will go to the content we create, right? So for example, we used to do a lot of developer classes. Now we do founder classes where I explain to people what is go-to-market, what it means to do marketing, what it means to fundraise. And this content is good for people who want to be founder. It's also good for people who want to work in startups. Working in a startup is different from working in a lot of different companies. So it creates this culture where people are aware of what it means to do all of these things. And then we created events that are specifically geared towards that. So instead of bringing developers, we bring people who are actually who are more founders than developers. So maybe they don't know exactly how a validity proof works, but they know how they can get somebody to use the blockchain to purchase a service. That's something we value a lot. Um,
That's echoes like a bit of my journey as well. As like about like 2 years ago, I was like when like AI to AI coding was lowering the bar of entry, and I was seeing people like things like build space and like people that were just very new, didn't know much about coding, but were launching products that were seeing a lot of like viral growth. And I was like, and then I just like switched over to this, learning more about like distribution strategies.
yeah.
And so I also see this, and then I kind of like came back to more of like the crypto kind of like community, seeing that it's a little bit different about like having different mechanics for like fundraising and more mechanics more like involved with like a community. And so there's like a bit of a different angle where there's kind of a different like culture. So I'm really now I want to ask about like what kind of like startups is like is like gaming like one of them. What do you like spent your time thinking about and like supporting and focusing on? What kind of startups?
Yeah, so I was gonna say we're fairly agnostic. I'll say it this way. We welcome any kind of builders and we welcome anybody who is looking to create value with a blockchain, right? If you're able to explain it properly and explain how you're gonna leverage it to create value, it's very likely that we'll work with you, right? And whether it be RWA, DeFi, gaming, gambling, whatever, we welcome people of all shades. Um, Now, that being said, there are some overarching narratives that we are putting a little bit more efforts into. Anything that is around Bitcoin right now is something we look to support a lot. We are helping also people who are doing stuff on payments, and we're helping a lot of people who are doing stuff around confidentiality or privacy. Right? Privacy is like people tend to think about it in the payment sphere, but I think for the gaming sphere is something that is extremely powerful also, right? So. Long story short, we help everybody, but there are some sectors which we are over-indexing on at the moment. And for a long time, gaming was a very, very, very big narrative on Starknet. What is interesting is seeing the mutation of gaming on Starknet, and now I see more and more people who are focusing on distribution, like you said, and actually shipping and getting their games in the end of users. I think that's a great. That's a great mindset. You see a lot more people actually trying to get people to use their game, changing it so that they're more viral, changing them so that they have more sign-ups, they have more conversion. I think that's great.
I'm really curious about like learning a bit more about like what you kind of like have you been doing any like programs or like what do you like have been focusing on in terms of like any concrete like incubators or programs like you yourself in your role as what you do?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you repeat?
Like, have you recently or in the near future, is there any like kind of programs, like any like startup? Earlier I saw the
sure.
Startup House
All
program.
right.
Like, do you work with things like that?
Question. So, what kind of incubators are we doing for people? So, we have a seed grant program that is very strong and that we use a lot to get people to build on Starknet. So. It's a grant program where we are able to help people who have an existing application migrate it to Starknet by de-risking the integration costs. So if they have to spend 2 weeks, a month, 2 months of developer time doing it, we can help support this integration with manpower, with funding, with the connections and marketing. So that's something we're doing, and we're also. That's on the very like tangible side. On the more, it's also tangible, right? But we're trying to organize programs to connect people with each other and to make entrepreneurship discussions happen, right? You're only as good as the people around you, and the people around you need to talk with you about things that are stimulating to you, right? So we're trying to connect entrepreneurs with each other so that they can discuss about their respective business. They can challenge each other's assumptions. They can give each other advice so that they grow together. You're doing Muay Thai. When you're doing a Muay Thai class, not everybody fights with the teacher. People spar with each other and they get better together. We want to create that dynamic in the startups in our ecosystem so that they all grow together and they all get to be badass black belts together. So we do this through online sessions. So we have online session groups where we match people with each other. They get to talk about their businesses, the respective challenges they're going through. And we're doing also startup residencies throughout the world. So we did several this year, week-long or month-long. Next year we're going to do several others in Asia, in the Americas region, and in Europe.
Week-long residencies? Yeah.
So those ones are going to be month-long.
Month-long,
right?
okay.
If you want to pop up for a week or two, you can, but it's mostly going to be for a month.
And the other part was the online matching part. If people want to find out more about this and apply and sign up, what are they called? What do they search for?
This is a pilot program we're doing right now. So we're doing the matching like directly. The way it happens is essentially like what we want is we want people to get into conversation where they talk about each other's marketing, go-to-market, fundraising, and so on. So the way it works is we match, like we say, hey, who wants to work on pitching, right? And then some people will say, hey, we're working on pitching, and we'll match them and they'll get on a call together. And then the first one presents for 15 minutes, and then for 5 minutes the others will grill him, ask questions, ask for feedback. then it moves to the next one, then it moves to the next one. This creates bond between people who learn about each other's businesses. It teaches you as a founder to pitch, but also to position yourself and to give feedback about pitching, which is really important. And it doesn't sound like much, but it creates a glue and a connection between founders. And that's something we're doing ad hoc at the moment. If that's something that is interesting to you, reach out to us. You know where to find us on social media. And we'll be happy to incorporate your startup in that program, match you with people who are either in your vertical, in another vertical, and just match you with people who are going through the same thing and the same period in your business building cycle.
Makes sense. It makes me think of, have you heard of Founders University?
No, what is it?
It's like exactly like this. It's by it's like a 12-week program. My co-founder on a previous Web2 project was in it, and I was just like getting all the emails because I wasn't really participating. But it's like a very like only like couple hours, like 2 or 3 hours per week, and it's a lot of like peer-to-peer kind of interactions and some little bit of like programming.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. We're not reinventing the wheel. We know this is something. We're taking inspiration from a lot of other people who are doing something similar, right? And so we're so for sure there's a lot. This is a recipe that other people are using. We're trying to see how it fits our audience. We're trying to see how it fits our ecosystem. It's really product building, right? We're building our own product, which is how do we integrate you as fast as possible in the ecosystem and bring you as much value as we can in terms of being connected to a network.
Great, yeah, very interesting. And so right now, we're getting the Dojo Gaming Night event, and I've been like talking to like gaming, on-chain gaming projects and people. So like, what do you know? Like, I'm curious about like your thoughts about like your favorite.
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, so so right now the Dojo game night is about to start, and I've been talking to other projects in blockchain gaming, and I'm curious like what you think about the space and what excites you the most about on-chain gaming. Like, what do you think about on-chain gaming? I'm just gonna cut it.
Yeah. So the reason I'm excited about on-chain gaming is that I think it's legitimately one of the most interesting area that is being experimented with in crypto right now. It hasn't found exactly the click that it needs so that a massive amount of people come in, but I think it's something that is heavily worked on and that is bound to happen sooner or later. The reason I like on-chain games is that I think that if you think about digital life, if you think about, people think about AI, AGI, machines becoming sentient. I think that life is not defined by being smart, it's defined by being autonomous and by being independent from its creator and its ability to move forward. There is no machine today that is able to just move forward without human intervention, save for blockchains. Bitcoin was the first one this way, right? It's a digital creature, it exists purely on chain, and it is able to move forward block by block and iterate, feeding on electricity and interactions between humans. And so to a degree, it's the first digital being, right? And I think Ethereum pushes this to the next level because it has smart contracts that can interact. It's like a multicellular organism. On-chain world, fully on-chain worlds are just the next iteration of this. They're world that exist in the machine, that are independent from their creator, that exist for as long as somebody wishes to interact with them. They're fully autonomous, they don't depend on the outside world. And to me, that's something that is incredibly fascinating, right? What can you do with a persistent, autonomous world online? Now, I think that this is something that is very much, it speaks to my nerd brain, and I need something that speaks to my heart. I need something that people don't need to think about, but something that people feel, that people don't need to think why this is cool, they just need to be like, this is cool. And I think that's what a lot of people who are in gaming right now are trying to solve. They're trying to make games that are different, better, more profound than what they have in traditional gaming. And I'm really looking forward to who will crack that nut first.
Okay, yeah, fascinating. Like more hearts and the mind working together at the intersection of on-chain gamings. All right, thank you for your time and answering all these questions.